The stars looked different from the observation deck of the Terran vessel. Olivia Wright pressed her hand against the cold glass and took a deep breath. After years of searching the skies, humanity had finally made contact with an advanced alien civilization. The Ardanian Collective had responded to Earth's signals 6 months ago, and now Olivia was part of the first diplomatic team sent to establish relations. "Nervous, Dr. Wright?" asked Commander Frank Ellis as he approached. His uniform was perfectly pressed, hiding the tension they all felt. "Just thinking about what to say to beings who crossed galaxies while we were still figuring out how to leave our own planet," Olivia replied. As the team's chief linguist, she carried the heavy burden of communication. The ship shuddered slightly as it docked with the massive Ardanian station. Through the window, Olivia could see their welcoming party. Tall, slender figures with smooth blue-gray skin and large almond-shaped eyes. "Remember," said Alice, "we represent all of Earth today." The airlock hissed open. The smell hit them first, something like cinnamon and ozone. The Ardanian leader stepped forward, nearly 7 feet tall. A device on his chest glowed softly before producing perfect English. "Welcome aboard, humans. I am Director Zenith. We have been observing your species for some time." Olivia studied their faces, so controlled, so measured. These beings had mastered interstellar travel, could manipulate gravity, and had technology that seemed like magic to human eyes. The Ardanians led them through corridors of flowing architecture, where light seemed to bend around corners and surfaces responded to touch. In the grand meeting chamber, Earth's team presented their offerings: art, music, literature, and scientific achievements. Director Zenith reviewed them with polite interest that couldn't hide his underlying dismissal. "Your species has made admirable progress, considering your limitations." Another Ardanian, introduced as Science Minister Kelter, picked up a tablet displaying human mathematics. "Such basic equations. We teach these concepts to our youngest learners." Olivia noticed the slight smiles they exchanged. The Ardanians were trying to be kind, but their superiority was clear. They viewed humans as clever children, perhaps worthy of guidance but not respect. During the formal dinner that followed, Olivia sat quietly, observing. The Ardanians spoke amongst themselves in their native tongue, a complex language of clicks, hums, and musical tones that her translation device struggled to process. While the others discussed trade and knowledge exchange, Olivia wandered to the edge of the hall where ancient artifacts were displayed in glowing cases. One curved stone tablet caught her eye. It was covered in symbols that looked strangely familiar. "You find our historical relics interesting?" asked a female Ardanian who had approached silently. "Yes. These markings, they resemble early human writing systems, particularly Proto-Sinaitic script from Earth's Middle East region." The Ardanian's expression flickered. Surprise, quickly controlled. "A coincidence. These are from our pre-expansion era, over 50,000 years ago." Olivia stepped closer, studying the symbols. "This one here, it's nearly identical to an Egyptian hieroglyph meaning doorway or passage." "Ambassador Laura is waiting to speak with you," the Ardanian said, smoothly steering Olivia away from the display. Later, as the Earth team prepared to return to their ship, Olivia couldn't stop thinking about those symbols. Back in her quarters, she pulled up images from her database, ancient human writing from caves in Africa, Europe, and Asia. She placed them side by side with her memory sketches of the Ardanian symbols. The similarities were too strong to be coincidence. A soft chime indicated an incoming message, "Secure channel from Earth Command." "Dr. Wright, initial analysis shows the Ardanians possess technology centuries beyond ours. Proceed with caution. Your primary mission remains establishing peaceful contact." Olivia looked back at her comparison screens. "There's more going on here than just first contact," she whispered to herself. "Much more." She made a decision then. Tomorrow, she would find a way to access more Ardanian historical records. The answers to why an alien civilization's ancient language shared elements with early human writing might change everything humanity thought they knew about their place in the universe. Olivia's fingers flew across her tablet as she sent the images back to Earth. 3 weeks had passed since first contact, and she had managed to photograph 12 more Ardanian artifacts with the strange symbols. Each one strengthened her theory that these aliens shared some connection with ancient humans. "Any response from Professor Garcia yet?" asked Captain Jack Miller. He stood in the doorway of Olivia's small office aboard the Earth ship. His broad shoulders nearly filled the frame. "Not yet. The signal delay is still 4 hours each way," Olivia said. But the last transmission was promising. "Ellen thinks the symbols match cave paintings found in South Africa from over 70,000 years ago." Jack frowned. The Ardanians claim their civilization is only 40,000 years old. Something doesn't add up. Their conversation was interrupted by the ship's alert system. Captain Miller to the bridge. Ardanian delegation requesting permission to board. "Remember, we're still playing nice," Jack said as he left. "Keep your discoveries quiet until we have proof." Later that day, Olivia joined the reception for Science Minister Kelter and his team. The Ardanians moved through the human vessel, examining everything with thinly veiled amusement. "Your propulsion system is quite creative," Kelter remarked, the translation device making his condescension clear. "Though terribly inefficient. We're always looking to improve," Jack replied with a forced smile. Olivia admired his restraint. When the Ardanians requested a tour of the ship's cultural archives, Olivia was assigned as their guide. She led them through the database of human history, art, and language. "This is our oldest known written language," she explained, showing them Sumerian cuneiform from ancient Mesopotamia. "It's roughly 5,000 years old." Kelter nodded politely. "We had moved beyond physical writing by then, storing information directly in quantum formats." As they viewed more exhibits, Olivia carefully guided the conversation. "Minister Kelter, I noticed some interesting symbols on artifacts in your historical display. Would you be willing to share information about your ancient writing systems?" A subtle change came over Kelter's face. "Those displays are ceremonial only. The markings hold no linguistic value." "But they appear structured, like a language," Olivia pressed. "A common misinterpretation," another Ardanian cut in smoothly. "Now we'd like to see your music archives." Later that night, Olivia's tablet chimed with an encrypted message from Earth. She opened it to find Alan Garcia's weathered face looking back at her. "Olivia, you found something extraordinary," the archaeology professor said. "I've compared your images with every ancient script in our database. The match with proto-human writing is beyond coincidence. But there's more." Alan's image was replaced with a 3D model of cave paintings. These symbols appear on every inhabited continent on Earth, in locations separated by oceans, dated between 70,000 and 50,000 years ago. No conventional theory explains this consistency. Olivia felt a chill. "What are you saying, Alan? Either humans and Ardanians had contact in our distant past, or," he paused, "or we share a common origin. I need more samples to be sure." The next morning, Jack found Olivia studying Ardanian ship movements on the main display. "Their vessel is scheduled to visit their archaeological outpost tomorrow," she said without looking up. "I need to be on that trip." "They've denied all our requests to join them," Jack reminded her. "Then I need a way in without asking permission." Olivia turned to face him. "Captain, what if everything we know about human history is wrong? What if we're somehow connected to the Ardanians?" Jack studied her for a long moment. "That would certainly explain why they seem so nervous about your questions." He sighed. "I'll speak with Sam Powell in intelligence. He might have some ideas about getting you access." As they spoke, neither noticed the small Ardanian probe outside the viewport. Its sensors focused on their conversation. Back on the Ardanian command ship, Director Zenith received the transmission and gave an order. Restrict all human access to historical archives immediately, and prepare the memory suppressors. Olivia adjusted the Ardanian cloak around her shoulders. The blue-green fabric shimmered in the dim light as she followed Sam Powell through the narrow service corridor of the alien archaeological facility. "Remember, 10 minutes at most," Sam whispered. His eyes were constantly moving, watching for security drones. "The ID signal I'm broadcasting will only fool their systems for a short time." Olivia nodded. Sam had managed to secure her passage aboard the Ardanian vessel as a maintenance worker. The disguise wouldn't hold up to direct inspection, but it allowed her to move through less guarded areas. "The archive chamber should be through that door," Sam said, pointing ahead. "I'll stand watch." Olivia slipped inside a vast circular room. Glowing containers lined the walls from floor to ceiling, each holding what appeared to be ancient artifacts. In the center stood a column of light, the data terminal. She approached it cautiously. The Ardanian interface responded to her touch, though the symbols that appeared were unfamiliar. She connected her translator device and began searching. "Come on," she muttered. "Show me something about lost ones." Ellen's research had uncovered repeated references to this term in fragments of Ardanian communications. The terminal pulsed, then displayed a series of images. Ancient stone carvings showed tall, slender figures, clearly Ardanians, interacting with shorter beings that looked strikingly human. "Found you," Olivia whispered. She scanned through more files, downloading everything to her hidden device. She found historical records mentioning a great conflict 80,000 years ago. Many passages were clearly redacted, showing only blank spaces where text should be. One file contained what appeared to be a star map with several systems marked. Earth's solar system was among them, labeled with an Ardanian symbol that her translator rendered as sanctuary or possibly quarantine. The door slid open behind her. "Time to go," Sam hissed. "Just one more minute," Olivia pleaded, eyes fixed on a file labeled with symbols matching those from Earth's caves. "Now," Sam insisted, grabbing her arm. "Security drones are headed this way." They slipped out of the archive and hurried back through the service corridors. As they neared their exit point, an alarm blared through the facility. "They've detected the breach," Sam said. "Run." They sprinted the final distance to the maintenance dock, where a small transport waited. Sam quickly initiated the launch sequence. "Did you find what you were looking for?" he asked as they detached from the facility. Olivia nodded, trying to catch her breath. The Ardanians have been watching Earth for thousands of years, and there's something they call the Lost Ones that appears in their oldest records, beings that look exactly like humans. You think we're related to them. I think they're hiding something massive about their own past, and somehow humans are part of that secret. Back on the Earth vessel, Captain Miller was waiting in the secure communications room. His face was grim. "The Ardanians know someone accessed their archives," he said. "They're demanding to inspect our ship." "Did they see who it was?" Olivia asked. "No, but they have their suspicions." Jack pointed to the screen showing a message from Earth Command. "Headquarters wants us to stall while you analyze what you found. They're sending Alan Garcia to hell." Over the next 3 days, Olivia worked tirelessly to decode the stolen files. When Alan arrived, they secluded themselves in the ship's lab, poring over the data and comparing it with Earth's archaeological records. "It's astonishing," Alan said, examining the star maps. "These ancient Ardanian sites perfectly match the distribution of early human civilizations on Earth. But why would they hide this connection?" Olivia wondered. Ellen pointed to passages describing what appeared to be a devastating civil war. Whatever happened, it split their species. One group became today's Ardanians. The other became us. Olivia finished. "But we look so different." The records mention genetic modification. What if the current Ardanians altered themselves? Or what if they modified the Lost Ones and sent them to Earth? A sharp knock interrupted them. Captain Miller entered, his face grave. The Ardanian High Council has just declared all human research into their history off limits, he said. They're demanding we turn over all archaeological data we've collected. We can't do that, Olivia protested. We won't, Jack assured her. But we need to find concrete proof of this connection quickly. They're preparing to close their borders to human ships. Alan held up a tablet. I think I know where to look. These symbols, they appear in caves on 3 continents on Earth. And according to this data, they're words from an ancient language the Ardanians have forbidden. Words that might wake something up, Olivia said softly. Something they're afraid of. Alan spread the papers across the table in the ship's conference room. After 3 days of non-stop work, they had pieced together fragments of the ancient language. These symbols combine to form words, he explained to Captain Miller and the others. The pronunciation is similar to some of Earth's oldest languages. Olivia pointed to a sequence of marks. This pattern appears most frequently. We think it translates roughly to remember or awaken. Jack studied the symbols with a frown. And you believe speaking these words might trigger something in the Ardanians. It's just a theory, Olivia admitted. But their efforts to hide this language suggest they fear it. The ship's communication officer interrupted with an urgent message. Captain, the Ardanians have requested Dr. Wright's presence at a special cultural exchange. Attendance is non-optional. Jack and Olivia exchanged worried glances. This was clearly a response to their archive breach. It could be a trap, Sam warned. Or an opportunity, Olivia countered. I need to meet with more Ardanians to test our theory. The meeting was set in a grand hall aboard the main Ardanian vessel. Olivia arrived with Sam posing as her aide. They were greeted by a group of Ardanian officials, including Director Zenith and an elderly Ardanian she hadn't met before. This is Vexer, our chief historian, Zenith introduced. He has expressed interest in your studies of early human language. Vexer was different from the other Ardanians. His skin had more texture, and his eyes seemed warmer, more curious. He extended a long-fingered hand in the human greeting style they had learned. Your work fascinates me, Dr. Wright, he said. His translator device had a slight delay, as if he was choosing his words carefully. As the formal presentations began, Olivia found herself seated beside Vexer. The old historian leaned closer. You found the archives, he whispered. His translator turned to its lowest setting. Olivia tensed. I don't know what you mean. Please, I have studied the connection for many cycles. Our leaders hide the truth, even from our own people. Olivia hesitated, then made a decision. She quietly showed him the symbol Alan had identified as most important. Do you know what this means? She asked. Vexer's eyes widened. His hands trembled slightly. Where did you find this? In your archives, and in caves on Earth from 70,000 years ago. Vexer looked around cautiously, then leaned even closer. Can you speak it? Olivia nodded. She had practiced the pronunciation with Alan for hours. Softly, she spoke the word. On Karvateth. The effect was immediate and shocking. Vexer's entire body stiffened. His eyes grew wide, then unfocused. For several seconds, he seemed frozen in place. When his eyes cleared, they were different. Brighter, more alive. He stared at Olivia with an expression of wonder and fear. The words of awakening, he whispered. After all this time. Before Olivia could respond, Vexer stood abruptly. We cannot speak here. They are always watching. He pressed something into her hand, a small data crystal, then walked away quickly. As he reached the door, he turned back. The dream must not end, he said. Then he was gone. Later that night, as the Earth ship orbited the Ardanian homeworld, strange energy readings began appearing on their sensors. Massive power surges emanated from structures on the planet's surface, structures that had appeared dormant in all previous scans. What's happening down there? Jack asked, watching the readings climb. Olivia inserted Vexer's crystal into their system. It contained thousands of files, historical records, star maps, and genetic data. According to this, she said, scanning the information, those structures are over 80,000 years old. They predate modern Ardanian civilization. And we just turned them on by speaking a few words. Sam asked incredulously. Alan pointed to a section of genetic data. Not just any words. Look at this. The Ardanians modified themselves genetically after their civil war. They rewired their brains to forget their emotional past. But the original neural pathways still exist, Olivia realized. The ancient language activates them somehow. The ship's alarms suddenly blared. On the main screen, they could see 5 Ardanian warships moving into position around them. Captain Miller, came Director Zenith's cold voice over the comm system. You will surrender Dr. Wright and all research materials immediately. You have awakened something that must remain dormant. Jack turned to Olivia. What exactly did we wake up? Olivia looked at the data streaming across her screen. Not what, she said quietly. Who? We need more time, Olivia said as the warning lights flashed throughout the ship. The Ardanian warships had given them 1 hour to comply with their demands. Captain Miller nodded. I'll stall them. You figure out what's on that crystal. While Jack opened communications with Director Zenith, Olivia, Alan, and Sam huddled around the data terminal in the ship's lab. The crystal contained far more information than they at first realized. These are genetic maps, Alan said, pointing to complex diagrams, showing the differences between original Ardanians and their current form. Sam studied another file. And these look like brain scans. The patterns are completely different. Olivia found a video file and opened it. The screen showed an Ardanian who looked more like Vexor than the others they had met. His skin had more color, and his eyes were expressive. This recording is for those who find the truth, the Ardanian said. I am Rannick, keeper of memories. The Great Division happened 80,000 cycles ago. Our people split into 2 paths. Those who chose logic removed emotion from their minds and bodies through genetic modification. Those who chose to remain whole were branded as dangerous and primitive. The video showed scenes of conflict, violence that seemed out of character for the cool, controlled Ardanians they knew. The whole ones fled to distant worlds, including the one you call Earth, Rannick continued. Those who remained became today's Ardanians, logical, advanced, but empty of the spark that once made us great. The words of our original language were forbidden, as they activate the suppressed neural pathways still dormant in all Ardanians. Olivia looked up at Alan. The humans on Earth are descended from the original Ardanians. We're the whole ones they feared. Just then, Dr. Nora Johnson, the ship's neurologist, burst into the lab. You need to see this, she said, bringing up her own data. I've been studying the Ardanian brain patterns from our medical exchanges. When you spoke that word to Vexor, his neural activity completely transformed. Transformed how? Sam asked. Parts of his brain that were dormant suddenly activated. It's like, she searched for simple words, like a computer running new programs that were always there but switched off. Olivia thought about Vexor's changed eyes after she spoke the word. He woke up, she whispered. The ship suddenly shook. Captain Miller's voice came over the intercom. They're getting impatient. Whatever you're doing, hurry it up. Nora pointed to her scans. If this language activates suppressed areas in their brains, what happens if more Ardanians hear it? We need to find out. Olivia decided. She turned to Sam. Can you access their public communication channels? Sam nodded. But they'll trace the broadcast immediately. We just need a few minutes. While Sam worked on gaining access, Olivia and Alan compiled the most powerful phrases from the ancient language. Nora helped them understand which sound patterns would most effectively trigger the dormant neural pathways. Ready, Sam said. But we'll only have seconds before they cut us off. Do it, Olivia ordered. Sam activated the broadcast. Olivia leaned toward the microphone and clearly spoke the words they had chosen. On Karvateth, Sel Morvian, Ethrak Torvalis. The ship's sensors immediately detected massive energy fluctuations across the Ardanian fleet. On the view screen, they'd watched as lights flickered on the enemy vessels. "Something's happening," Alan said. Communications suddenly exploded with Ardanian voices, confused, emotional, unlike the controlled tones they were used to hearing. "It's working," Olivia breathed. "They're waking up." The doors to the lab slid open as Captain Miller rushed in. "The Ardanian ships are standing down," he reported. But a new vessel just appeared from the far side of the planet. Massive energy readings. They're hailing us directly. The main screen activated to show Vexor, now dressed in ancient-looking robes. Behind him stood other Ardanians, with the same vibrant eyes. "Dr. Wright," Vexor said, his voice stronger and more emotional than before. "You have done what we could not. The awakening has begun, but Director Zenith and the High Command are fighting it. They have activated the Purge Protocol to eliminate all who remember." "What can we do?" Olivia asked. "Come to these coordinates," Vexor replied, sending a location. "Bring the words. It is time for both our peoples to remember who we truly are." The Earth ship moved silently through the dark side of the Ardanian moon. Captain Miller had agreed to Vexor's coordinates despite the risks. This could still be a trap, Sam warned as they prepared to dock with Vexor's vessel. "I don't think so," Olivia said. "You saw the brain scans. The awakened Ardanians are different." The docking tube connected with a soft thud. Vexor himself stood waiting as the airlock opened. With him were 5 other Ardanians, all with the same bright, emotional eyes. "Welcome, friends," Vexor said. His voice had changed, now rich with feeling. "We have little time. The High Command has already begun rounding up awakened Ardanians." He led them to a large chamber at the heart of his ship. The walls were covered with the ancient symbols they had been studying. In the center stood a device that looked like a small sun suspended in glass. "The memory core," Vexor explained. "One of the few that escaped destruction after the Great Division. It contains our true history." Olivia approached it slowly. "What exactly happened 80,000 years ago? Why did your people split?" Vexor gestured, and the core projected images around the room. They showed a civilization far different from the current Ardanians, more colorful, more vibrant, with art and music everywhere. "We were once a people of great emotion and creativity," Vexor said. "Our civilization reached incredible heights through the union of logic and passion. But a group led by the philosopher Xenix believed that emotion made us weak and inefficient. The images changed to show conflict and debate. Xenix developed a process to remove emotional centers in our brains and replace them with enhanced logical processing. Many followed him, believing it would make us superior. Others refused." Alan studied the images carefully. "And the ones who refused came to Earth." "Not directly," Vexor said. "First there was war. The modified ones saw emotion as a threat to their perfect order. They tried to force all Ardanians to undergo the procedure. The core showed terrible battles, technologies far beyond anything humans had developed. In the end, the whole ones fled in ships to many worlds. Earth was the most distant, chosen because of its similar environment. The modified ones, our ancestors, stayed and built the logical society you see today." "But why erase the history?" Olivia asked. "Because the memory of emotion is dangerous to their order," one of Vexor's companions explained. "Even modified Ardanians still carry the dormant neural pathways for emotion. The ancient language can reactivate them. That is why it was forbidden." Olivia looked around at the awakened Ardanians. "So when I spoke those words to Vexor, you reactivated what was always there," Vexor said. "And now thousands more are awakening across our world. But Director Zenith and the High Command have begun using memory suppressors to force them back into logic. And they want to eliminate humans because we're living proof their choices were wrong," Sam realized. Vexor nodded gravely. "You are what we once were, beings of both logic and passion. Your existence threatens their belief in their own superiority." Olivia turned to Captain Miller. Jack, we need to contact Earth immediately. They need to know what's happening. Before Jack could respond, the ship's alarms blared. On the view screen, they saw 3 Ardanian warships approaching. They found us, Vexer said. The memory core has defense systems, one of Vexer's people said, but they won't hold for long. Olivia looked at the ancient symbols surrounding them, then at the scans of awakened Ardanian brains that Nora had brought. We don't need to fight them, she said slowly. We need to wake them up. All of them. How? Ellen asked. We can't reach every Ardanian. Olivia pointed to the memory core. This device contains your true history. What if we could transmit not just the words, but the memories themselves? Vexer's eyes widened. The core was designed to preserve memory patterns, not broadcast them. But it could be modified, Nora suggested, examining the technology. If we combine your core's memory patterns with the awakening words and broadcast them through your ship's communication systems, we could wake up the entire species at once. Vexer finished, his voice filled with hope. On the view screen, the warships moved ever closer. Time was running out. The Ardanian warships would be in firing range within minutes. Inside Vexer's vessel, humans and awakened Ardanians worked frantically to modify the memory core. The memory patterns are too complex, Nora said, frustration clear in her voice. We can't process them fast enough to broadcast. Olivia stared at the ancient symbols surrounding them. What if we don't need the entire memory package? What if we just need the right words, the most powerful awakening phrases? Ellen nodded. Like a key that unlocks a door. The memories are already in their brains, just locked away. Vexer touched the glowing core. There are 7 master phrases in the old language. Together, they form the core of our emotional reality. Can you write them down? Olivia asked. Vexer quickly inscribed the 7 phrases. Each one was longer and more complex than what Olivia had spoken before. These are sacred words from our deepest past, he explained. Words for love, grief, joy, wonder, courage, compassion, and hope. Captain Miller checked the tactical display. Whatever you're doing, do it fast. Their weapons are powering up. Sam had been working on the communication systems. I've linked our transmitter to their emergency channels. We can broadcast on all frequencies at once, but only for a few seconds before they block us. Will a few seconds be enough? Ellen asked. Olivia looked at Vexer. It has to be. Vexer's ship shuddered as the first warning shots struck their shields. On the view screen, Director Zenith's face appeared, cold and controlled. Surrender the humans and the traitors, he demanded. This emotional corruption ends now. Vexer stepped forward. Brother, listen to me. We were not always this way. We once felt joy and love and wonder. You can feel them again. Emotional weakness nearly destroyed our species, Zenith replied. We evolved beyond it. You didn't evolve, Olivia countered. You cut away part of yourselves. Zenith's eyes narrowed. Prepare to be boarded. Any resistance will be met with lethal force. The transmission cut off. Alarms blared as the Ardanian warships moved into position around them. Now, Sam, Olivia ordered. Sam activated the broadcast. Olivia and Vexer stood before the transmitter and spoke the 7 phrases together, their voices blending in the ancient tongue. The effect was immediate. On their sensors, energy fluctuations rippled across all 3 enemy ships. The weapons systems powered down. Communications erupted with confused voices. It's working, Alan said, watching the readings. But then a new signal appeared. A massive Ardanian dreadnought emerging from hyperspace. A High Command's flagship, Vexer said grimly. They have stronger safeguards against emotional triggers. The dreadnought fired, striking Vexer's ship with devastating force. Systems failed across the vessel. Shields down. One of Vexer's crew called out, life support failing. Captain Miller grabbed the communication controls. This is Captain Jack Miller of Earth. All ships in range, we need immediate assistance. To everyone's surprise, the three Ardanian warships that had been attacking them suddenly changed position, placing themselves between Vexor's damaged vessel and the dreadnought. "This is Commander Lorix of the Ardanian Defense Force," came a new voice, emotional and clear. "We stand with our awakened brothers and sisters. The High Command's tyranny ends today." On the view screen, they watched as dozens more Ardanian ships appeared, surrounding the dreadnought. The awakening was spreading faster than anyone had anticipated, but the High Command wasn't surrendering. The dreadnought launched fighters that streaked toward Earth's solar system. "They're targeting Earth," Sam realized with horror. "They want to eliminate the source of the emotional contamination." Captain Miller turned to his crew. "We need to warn Earth. Their defenses won't stand a chance against Ardanian weapons. Our communication array is damaged," Sam reported. "We can't send a message that far." Vexor stepped forward. "There is another way. The ancient network, the one that connects all the lost colonies. It was never completely shut down." "Can we access it?" Olivia asked. "Yes, but we need to reach the central node on our homeworld," Vexor replied. "Through it, we can not only warn Earth but activate the defensive systems our ancestors left behind on your planet." "How do we get there with our ship damaged?" Jack asked. Before Vexor could answer, the ship rocked with another explosion. The dreadnought had broken through the defensive line. "We're being boarded," Sam warned. "Multiple entry points." Olivia looked at the 7 phrases, then at her friends. "We need to split up. Some of us have to reach that node." Heavy footsteps echoed down the corridor. The doors to the bridge slid open as armed Ardanian troops stormed in. The Ardanian troops stormed onto the bridge with weapons raised. Their leader stepped forward, face expressionless beneath his helmet. "By order of the High Command, you are all to be." He never finished. Olivia spoke one of the 7 phrases directly to him. The soldier froze. His weapon lowered slowly as his eyes changed, becoming brighter, more alive. "I'd remember," he whispered. Behind him, the other soldiers underwent the same transformation as the word spread among them. One by one, they lowered their weapons. "We don't have much time," the lead soldier said, his voice now full of emotion. "The High Command has sent memory suppression teams to all major cities. They're trying to reverse the awakening." Captain Miller stepped forward. "We need to reach the central node of the ancient network. Can you help us?" "My ship is still intact in the docking bay," the soldier replied. "I can take a small team to the surface." Quick decisions were made. Olivia, Alan, and Vexor would go to the planet's surface with the awakened soldiers. Jack would take the Earth ship, now repaired enough for basic flight, to warn the human fleet that was stationed at the edge of Ardanian space. As they prepared to leave, Olivia downloaded all 7 phrases and the memory core data to a small device. "Just in case," she said. The journey to the Ardanian homeworld was tense but swift. The small ship landed in a remote area covered with ancient ruins, structures that had been abandoned after the Great Division. "The node is beneath the central temple," Vexor explained as they hurried through crumbling corridors. It was built to last for many millennia. They reached a vast underground chamber. At its center stood a crystal structure similar to the memory core, but much larger. Vexor placed his hands on its surface, and the entire room lit up with swirling patterns of light. "The network is still active," he said with wonder. "After all this time." Alan studied the symbols appearing around them. "These show all the colony worlds. Earth is just one of many places where our ancestors fled," Vexor agreed, "each containing part of what we once were." Olivia connected her device to the node. "Let's send the warning to Earth first." The message transmitted through pathways older than human civilization. Moments later, a response came, not from Earth's modern systems, but from dormant technologies hidden beneath the oldest human cities. "The defensive systems are activating," Alan reported, watching the displays. Ancient Ardanian technology buried on Earth for thousands of years, waiting for this moment. On screens around them, they saw the High Command's fighters approaching Earth, only to be met by energy shields that suddenly appeared around the planet. The attackers' weapons had no effect. Now for the final step, Vexor said. We must broadcast the full awakening to all Ardanians. Before they could act, the chamber shook violently. Director Zenith himself appeared at the entrance with elite guards. Step away from the node, he ordered, his voice still emotionless despite the chaos around him. It's too late, Zenith, Vexor said. Look at what your logic has brought us. Division, violence, emptiness. It brought us order and advancement, Zenith countered. At what cost? Olivia asked. You sacrificed everything that made you truly alive. Humans think emotion makes them special, Zenith said dismissively. It only makes you weak. Then why are you so afraid of it? Olivia challenged. She nodded to Alan, who activated their device. The chamber filled with light as the memory core's contents flowed into the ancient network. The 7 phrases echoed in the air, not just in sound, but in light and energy that spread outward through the planet. Zenith fell to his knees, his face contorting as long-suppressed emotions fought to surface. No, he gasped. We chose the better path. You chose a half-life, Vexor said gently, kneeling beside him. Now choose to be whole again. The awakening spread across the planet like wildfire. In cities everywhere, Ardanians stopped and remembered who they once were. Some fought it, but most embraced the return of feelings they hadn't known for 80,000 years. 3 days later, Olivia stood with Jack, Allen, and the others on the observation deck of the Earth ship. Below them, the Ardanian world pulsed with new life and color. They're changing everything, Jack remarked. Their architecture, art, even their clothing. They're remembering who they were, Olivia said, and discovering who they can be. Vexor joined them, dressed in vibrant robes that would have seemed outlandish days before. The High Council has been reformed. We wish to establish new relations with Earth, not as superior beings, but as long-lost family. What about the other colonies? Alan asked. We will find them all, Vexor promised. Together. Olivia looked out at the stars. They laughed at humanity for our emotions, our primitive ways. Now they remember those emotions are their heritage too, Jack finished. A heritage awakened by forgotten words, Vexor said, spoken by the cousins we never knew we had.